Hello, my name is Joy Lambert, and I am the Child and Adolescent Studies Librarian at Pollock Library. This video will be about how we can use Boolean connectors to do research. What are Boolean connectors? Boolean connectors are three tiny words, and, or, not. They all do different things when we use them to connect our search terms in the databases. We have the mathematician George Boole to thank for these great tools that help us craft our searches. You've probably already searched with Boolean connectors without even realizing you were using advanced research methods. So if I was doing a research paper that wanted to answer the question, what are the effects of anxiety on teenagers? I would first distill the question down to the keywords I could put in the database. Databases are not like Google. You can't type in a question because it will confuse the database. You have to pick out the keywords that you can use for your search. For my paper, I will pick anxiety and teenagers. Now I can go to the database and start using my Boolean connectors. I often refer to Boolean connectors as our friends because they are. They help us when we're doing searches in the databases. The first connector I'd like to talk about is AND. This is the most commonly used connector. AND tells the database that you want all of your results to include keyword or concept A and keyword or concept B. So in the example of my paper, the first keyword would be anxiety and the second would be teenagers. I would connect them with and the database should bring me back the articles that are about teenagers and anxiety. When you want to find out the relationship between two variables, such as teenagers and anxiety, you usually do not have to include other keywords like affect, benefits, relationship, etc. When you use and, that implies there is a relationship between those two concepts. And narrows your results in a way that it requires the database to retrieve only articles with the keywords you have chosen. In my experience, sometimes students think that if they string a bunch of keywords together with and, they will broaden their search. But actually, you are narrowing your search because you are telling the database that any results must include all of your keywords. The next Boolean connector is OR. Sometimes when you're crafting a search, you might start out using OR. Other times, you might need to use it in a second search after an initial search that doesn't bring back the kind of results you want, either in the number or the focus of the articles. OR is a good way for us to broaden a search. One of my colleagues always says you get more with OR, which is a good way to remember. OR works best when you string synonyms for a concept together with it. So in the case of my search, let's say my first search didn't work as well as I had hoped. I can retool my search and broaden with OR. I will tell the database to look for articles about anxiety or mental health and teenagers or adolescents. Your synonyms or like terms don't have to be exact one-to-one matches, but they should be similar enough to let the database know what you're looking for. So the database should find me articles about anxiety in teenagers or anxiety in adolescents, or mental health in teenagers, or mental health and adolescents. My search will yield many more results now that I have used OR to broaden the scope. The final Boolean connector is NOT. This is probably the least used Boolean connector, but it can come in quite handy when you're trying to weed out some results. Sometimes a search might bring back a bunch of results that are not what you want, mixed in with other results that are what you want. You can use NOT to remove them. In the case of my search, let's say I'm getting a lot of results back about depression, but that's not what I am looking for. I can tell the database not depression, and it should take out those articles. That, in a nutshell, is how Boolean connectors work. You can use them individually or in combination with each other. Most library databases have drop-down menus where they can be found and used to help craft a search. So when we do, we can say, "Yay, I've got a great search." We can also say, "Thanks, George."